huge in number, but it's really, really strong in terms of quality.
Yeah, something I'm much more familiar with than some of the other activities we've seen here this weekend. One, again, I'm looking forward to because we've got some of the usual suspects that tend to win in GT3 around Europe and certainly some of them around the world as well. A 1 hour sprint race. So it's going to be a lot of things to consider. It's almost like a 1 hour stint in a 3 hour endurance race. So the principles are much the same. But it's a lovely evening here, Paul Ricard. Track temperature has actually fallen back to just 21 Celsius, so not quite as warm as it was, what, 45 minutes, 50 minutes ago when the start of the touring car race. Nevertheless, you push very hard early in your stint and you can damage your tires, and that will then allow your competition to challenge you, or you just measure your pace and hope that you do enough not to lose a position.
That's Danny Juncadella, who is racing for Spain, but he didn't have a great qualifying in the Antonelli Motorsport run Mercedes. Let's go down to the grid, though, and hear from one or two of the drivers before we go racing. Ayhancan Guven is representing Turkey, winner of the FIA GT Nations Cup in years past, and Ayhancan is with Gemma Scott.
Jan, it's great to have you here with us for the Games. Of course, you won, or you came second this year in GT Masters, but certainly showing yourself as a one to watch out for in this next race.
Yeah, today we were quick from the beginning. Quali, the Audi make a really good lap time, but yeah, in the race stream, hopefully we are closer to him. And it's 1 hour race, so it will be quite long with the tire deck and stuff. So yeah, we will see. It will be a lot of fun.
Will the race pace differ at all from earlier?
Yeah, I think the race pace we will closer to Audi.
Have a great race. Thank you, Jan.
Ayhancan Guven, who's made a name for himself in Porsches, whether it's in GT racing or in the Carrera Cup Germany, Porsche Super Cup as well, he's been hugely successful in, so he's a man to watch. And Ayhancan Guven then, the Turkish driver, double Carrera Cup France champion, Porsche Benelux champion, Porsche Middle East champion, certainly potential winner of this.
Yes, and knows his way around a Porsche, which is very important.
Indeed, so that is the Moroccan driver, Michael Benia, who has been a GT4 European Series racer. We've seen him in British GT as well, and Michael Benia in the Optimum Motorsport run McLaren. For Mercedes, for Germany, is Lukas Stolz. He's going to start third on the grid, and Lukas Stolz is also with Gemma.
Luca, you're no stranger to racing against Dries van Toor and Mirko Bortolotti, who starts just behind you. What do we expect from this race?
Well, first, it's an honor to be here to represent Germany. Yeah, it's really nice and sunny day in Paul Ricard and racing to some of the best GT drivers in the world. So yeah, it's going to be a fun 1 hour race.
A very quick sentence for your German fans.
Yeah, thanks for crossing fingers for me, and I hope I can go for a medal.
Thank you very much. Have a great one.
Thanks.
So Lukas Stolz certainly is a potential winner. We've seen him be one of the fastest Mercedes drivers over the last few seasons in Fanatec GT.
Yeah, not only fast, but very consistent. So expect a lot from Lukas Stolz, but right now the pace that Dries van Toor illustrated in qualifying was, well, it was pretty impressive. Whether that will translate into a 1 hour race and still have that kind of advantage. Again, the tire issue is always something we have to talk about because you have to look after these things. They're not designed to be perfect all the way through. You've got to make them work for you.
Now we're going into the 60-minute race, which again, of course, is going to have a big impact on the medal table because we're getting towards the end of the competition now. So the scores based on what we have here are going to be very important indeed. As I say, there aren't many disciplines now still to be resolved. We've got 3 golds, Italy and France, but Belgium has got 2 golds, 1 silver and 1 bronze. And therefore, if a 3rd gold medal went Belgium's way, they would also be able to win on the countback, because when it's a tie, you then go to the number of silvers, you go to the number of bronzes. So it looks as though Belgium, if Dries van Toor can take gold, could be on as the winning nation. But Italy and France have equally got a good chance of winning outright as well. Now, what about Belgium? Dries van Toor starts on pole position. The Belgian driver in the Audi on pole position. He's a potential winner, and he's with Jan.
Dries, it's been a fantastic game so far for Belgium. Lots and lots of medals, and there's a possibility that if you are successful in this race, that Belgium could take an overall win.
Yeah, it comes down to the end. Well, is it the last session of the day?
It is.
Oh, it is. Oh, it comes down to the end. So No, I mean, yeah, I've been following Belgium. They've been doing well in every category, so it's good to see. It's fun to see that all the young and some of them maybe mid-old, I would say, are doing not too bad. So no, yeah, let's see what we can do. It's been going really well so far. The car's been absolutely amazing since we put it on the ground today. So yeah, let's see what we can do. Well,
you line up beside Australia here. You've got Lucas Stoltz, who you know very well behind you. Who do you see as your biggest threats?
It's a 1 hour stint, so I guess the Mercedes will be good on tires. The Porsche will be quick, I think, in the beginning. So I'll just try to do some good laps in the beginning and then see where we are and try to manage my tires.
And of course the sun's going to come down. We've just seen you put some extra tape on your visor to give you a bit of protection.
Exactly, yeah. Otherwise with the visor I might struggle a bit.
All the best tricks. Dries, have a great race. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks.
Well, there's somebody that's raced here from daylight into the darkness, who's raced at Spa. He's raced and, of course, won his class at Le Mans, where you've got the sun going down, you've got the sun coming up, of course, the other side of night. So he knows all about racing in different lighting situations. But yeah, Dries van Thor, interesting to hear what he said there about managing his tyres, knowing the strengths of the other cars as well. He's not just thinking about his race, he's thinking about what everybody else is going to be doing around him as well.
Yeah, I mean, everybody might in the pit lane know that over a stint, maybe a Mercedes, because of the layout of the car, might be a little bit more gentle over that 1 hour stint than a rear engine or mid-rear engine car is. So there's no big secrets amongst all the competitors. They know the strengths of their competition. They know their own strengths. And if you've got a car that could be very quick in the opening phase, which could certainly be Dries van Thor on the Audi, or maybe one of the two Porsche, but it's not the beginning that necessarily counts, as being able to maintain that. And if you do go into a stage of tyre degradation and other around you are managing to manage it better than you, then you're going to have to be in a very defensive mode. And as the clock counts down, that will become more and more difficult.
And of course, the ambient temperature is going to change as well over the course of the race. Might be cars that work better towards the end when it gets a little bit cooler, as you look at Chinese Taipei's Evan Chen, and he's going to start 7th on the grid. Now, what about Australia? Could we get a gold for Australia? Matt Campbell hopes so. He's on the front row. He's with Gemma.
Matt, of course, down here on the front row, hoping to bring it home for Australia.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we've had really good pace so far this weekend. We didn't start necessarily the strongest in practice, but yeah, the team's done a fantastic job and we've improved every session. So good to be starting at the front, but it's going to be a long, hard race.
How competitive can you be against Dries? He was really flying earlier.
Yeah, he's been really fast the whole day, so I think it'll be tough, but for sure up for the challenge. But in saying that as well, I mean, it's super close around me. Times are very fast, and you know, a lot of drivers I know as well, so it should be some really good racing.
Have a great one. Thank you very much, Matt.
Yeah.
So Matt Campbell, winner here last year of the 6 hours in Fanatec GT. Just looking at the back of the grid, quite a few mechanics running onto the grid with equipment, as though somebody might have a problem there. So they'd come out of the pit lane through the gate. It's not Tristan Vautier, because there's serenity and calm around France, but there's certainly one nation that might well be having dramas. Trying to keep an eye from where our vantage point is at what might be happening elsewhere on the grid. But I certainly saw mechanics running earnestly back onto the grid.
It does happen. You think of all the work, all the hours of preparation that have got in since the cars were on track earlier today, and then you do your out lap, come onto the grid, and there is a problem. Sometimes it's an issue that can be addressed quickly. Other times it might mean pushing the car through a gap in the safety wall there that the pit lane is directly behind. Hopefully that is not the case, as we're looking at the rear of that McLaren entered by Morocco.
Marco Bortolotti good to go for Italy. Bruno Baptista set to go for Brazil. And Bruno Baptista is with Gemma.
Bruno, it's been a busy weekend for you. You raced in GT Cup as well, now the GT Sprint. Slightly different for you to be pushing there for that 1 hour, but you showed a real pace yesterday and you're enjoying this car as well.
Yeah, it's my first time in GT3, and the weekend was really hard because 2 championships in 1 weekend was hard, but was amazing. I learned a lot with GT3 and for the team. And now we need to have a good pace to guide the guys in the front.
Well, you're with a very experienced team with Acadis, of course, as well, who've had a great year in GT3 in the European World Championship. But here now, of course, yesterday racing with your dad, you've also made some great memories representing Brazil.
Yeah, for sure. And now I need to prove a little bit in some corners. I had a mistake in qualifying, for sure the pace will be good here because the team for sure give it to me a good car for the race, and for sure we're going to catch the guys in the front.
Good luck to you. Have a great race.
I was going to say, it's a different level from doing the Endurance Cup to doing the Sprint Cup. Here he's got some serious race drivers who know their way around a GT3 car like it's the back of their hand, but it'll all be a part of an education for Bruno Baptista, and hopefully he'll come away from it with a bit bigger smile on his face than he's had pretty much through the weekend.
There in the Red Bull helmet is the driver for Team Turkey, Ayhan Guven. As I say, he has had a lot of success in France in the one-make Porsche Championship, double Carrera Cup France champion, race winner in Porsche Super Cup, and another potential winner of this. I know arguably Dries van Thor starts as the favourite, but it does depend on what cars do with their tyres over the course of the hour. Evan Chen for Chinese Taipei has been really rapid as well over the GT Cup races. He goes into GT Sprint then representing Chinese Taipei after he's talked to Gemma.
We're trying to cover all the nations down here on the grid. Ethan, you've been absolutely flying this weekend, really putting in a good fight.
Yeah, I tried to do my best. My previous race that I do the whole season was 2019, so I haven't really been racing that much since the pandemic thing happened. I'm just glad to be back at the track and competing with all these like such a prestigious grid and try to learn from them as much as I could.
And an honour, of course, to be representing your country.
I'm very proud to be representing our country. We are not like the country who think about in terms of racing. So to be on the grid, not doing too bad of a time, I think it's the best I could do, and I hope they are proud of.
I'm sure they're very proud. Have a great race. Thanks, Ethan.
Thank you.
Evan Chen for Chinese Taipei, and there Stefan Rattel, the founder and CEO of the SRO Motorsports Group, on the grid. Of course, it's an FIA Motorsport Games, but SRO is the promoter, and it's a huge amount of effort by Stefan and his team, headed by Anthony Comas, that have put the event together. A Herculean task as well by Mike Scott and all of his team on the television side, bringing all of these different disciplines and trying to coordinate everything so that you don't miss a moment of the action.
It's been a spider's web, literally trying to get everything to come together all at one time. And it's had its moments. Let's say we've had our moments, but we've always managed to come out on top, and hopefully that's how it will be until the checkered flag falls here in just a little over 1 hour.
Right, who's going to come out on top of this then? Put your colours to a mast.
Emotionally, obviously, I would love to see a Porsche win. But pragmatically, if Dries van Thor can get the lead and can then control the rest of the field at a pace where he's not going to hurt his rear tyres in particular, then it's going to be Dries van Thor's to lose, effectively. I mean, he's been quick in this car. It's the Sanderlock Junior team that, I don't know, he's never driven another Audi you mentioned. I would love to know, actually, what does he think of the Sanderlock preparation compared to WRT? Are there any things that actually he's read, I wish I had that on the WRT, or I'm glad I didn't have that on the WRT.
1 minute to go. I know he's driven for, obviously, WRT and a Tempto. I've got a feeling he's driven for Phoenix in the Nürburgring 24 Hours, but anyway, another new team in this respect is Sanderlock. So, of course, WRT has ended its association with Audi, so Belgium had to go to a different team in order to run the car, the RACB, the Royal Automobile Club of Belgium, and Sanderlock getting the job. Right, time to go racing. Grid cleared. There will be the 15-second board in a moment. The green flag is there, and the safety car as it is. The leading car will blast away, and then we can have this final lap to get some warmth into the tyres. It would also be interesting to see how France gets on and whether it could be the winning nation on home soil. Tristan Vautier upholding French honour, but from 6th on the grid. Tristan Vautier is somebody that has done incredibly well racing in single-seaters in America. Star Mazda champion, Indy Lights champion. He's been a GT racer, winner of the 2018 Intercontinental GT Challenge, winner of the Suzuka 10 Hours in 2018 as well. So Tristan Vautier, perhaps we're being wrong not to talk him up more than we are.
Well, the only issue I have is he's starting back on the the third row of the grid. So the 5 cars directly ahead of him are extremely competitive packages, driver and car. So to find a way past on pace would be a big ask. It might be through other issues. I mean, tyre wear, tyre degradation is the obvious one.
Let's have a look at this grid as the cars accelerate their way out of turn 2, and you're looking at France, but the grid is headed by Belgium. Dries van Thor for Belgium on pole position. Matt Campbell for Australia lining up second on the grid. Third is where you find Germany, and it is Luca Stolz at the wheel of the Mercedes. And Turkey fourth, and that is Ayhan Guven, a man to watch. Lining up fifth for Italy is Mirko Bortolotti, and sixth on the grid, France, Tristan Vautier behind the wheel. Starting seventh is Chinese Taipei's Evan Chen, and eighth for Brazil is Bruno Baptista. Ninth on the grid for Morocco is Michael Ben Yahya, and 10th on the grid, Spain, the only nation with a representative in every discipline, Dani Juncadella, but he's a long way back. He's ahead of the Swiss representative, Yannick Mettler, and the Lithuanian athlete is Julius Adamovicius, and he is going to go from 12th ahead of Hong Kong China's Marchi Li in the charismatic Honda NSX Evo. That's your grid. It is 13 strong numerically, but it is really high in terms of driver caliber. So many races, so many titles won in this entry. We've got an onboard camera with the France Mercedes of Tristan Vautier, run by the Ecodis ASP team, and he's going to be a driver to keep an eye to as well over the course of the hour, especially given that the Mercedes are kind on their tyres. And we've also got the onboard on the McLaren, the Optimum Motorsport run car of Michael Ben Yahya, the Moroccan driver. So, Dries van Thor for Belgium is going to be the man on pole position, but of course they don't stop on the grid at the end of the lap. It's a rolling start, so if the race director is happy with everybody's position, then they'll be released into battle. Marchi Li's view at the back of the grid with the Honda NSX of Hong Kong, China. And so as the field turns now up through Le Beausset, we are set to get the cars in a moment into that 2x2 Noah's Ark formation, ready for the start of the race. They will then blast into battle the run down towards turn one, and Dries van Thor is going to know that he's got a Mercedes that's quick behind him. He's got a Porsche that's quick alongside. Who will he have to defend from? Everybody getting themselves together. Don't rule out Ayhan Guven, of course. Never rule out Mirko Bortolotti, as the cars then now turn with Dani Juncadella there in the Antonelli Motorsport run Mercedes. He starts further back than he wants to on the outside of the fifth row of the grid. It is wide open, this race, I promise you. Yes, Dries van Thor might be considered a favourite, but it's certainly not guaranteed that he's going to be a race winner. The fans are ready, we are ready, the medal table is ready as well, because this result is going to affect who is the winning nation. There is the closing ceremony to look forward to at the end of the afternoon here at the Paul Ricard circuit. But first, it is time to go racing. The GT Sprint is about to get underway. 1 hour of racing. GT3 cars throughout the grid. The lights are red, the lights will change any second now to get the race underway as they accelerate down towards turn one. And a very good start by Matt Campbell, who gets the drop from the outside of the front row, and the Porsche swoops across. Australia leads the way. They're all leaning on each other in the pack. Germany on the outside, Turkey round the outside and goes second. Ayhan Guven gets the jump on Dries van Thor as well. So Belgium, having done all the hard work in qualifying, gets run out wide. Italy through as well, and Van Thor is going back down the order.
He's been beaten up. I mean, absolutely had the best opportunity to get into turn one ahead of everybody else. Now, at best, he's third or fourth, and Mirko Bortolotti's on up, and France has had to take a shortcut, but Bortolotti gets up the inside of Dries van Thor as well. And look what's happened, Germany's coming back.
Luca Stolz on the inside. Guven was off the road and back on again for Turkey. But Van Thor then is just hanging on to that place for Belgium ahead of Germany as they come now onto the Mistral Straight. You're right about France going off the road. Vautier had to try and make his own arrangements to keep out of the pack.
And the bonnet on the German Mercedes looks like it's flapping. So that's the consequence of some contact. But now what we're seeing is the big boys are out playing.
And doesn't it show? Through the chicane they come. But look at Matt Campbell's lead. He's disappeared. He's nearly checked in for his flight home. He's that far ahead. So it is Australia leading the way. In second place, it is Turkey. It's Porsche, 1, 2. It's Lamborghini, 3. It's Italy now on the prowl. Mirko Bortolotti pulls out and pulls back in again. Fourth, it is Belgium. Fifth is Germany. Sixth is France.
Well, who would have written that script? I mean, Matt Campbell getting the jump, maybe set it all off. He's just driven away, and poor Dries van Thor must feel like a punch bowl. He's been back hit, front hit, side hit, and trying to recover and trying to get the composure back again and not lose any further ground. But look, all around here's the completion of the first lap, the opening lap, and it is absolutely like it was, well, racing for victory here.
So we are looking at the end of the first lap, riding on board now with Michael Ben Yahya, who's squabbling with Chinese Taipei, the Moroccan driver Michael Ben Yahya. There is Luca Stolz in fifth place then. coming through with Bruno Baptista, the Brazilian driver, fending off Marchi Lee for Hong Kong, China in the Honda. So lap 1 in the book, and Matt Campbell leads the way over the timing line. He is 1.8 seconds clear of Guven in second place for Turkey. Italy third, fourth Belgium, fifth Germany, sixth France. And then a bit of a gap opening up before 7th is Spain. Danny Juncadella. Stolz goes through. So Lucas Stolz qualified third. So Germany and Belgium roughed up on that first lap.
Very much so, but looks like Dries van Thor has managed to get ahead of, well, he has got ahead of Germany, and now he can focus upon Marco Bortolotti directly ahead of him. He's had many scraps with the Italian over many seasons, racing in the GT3 series. So just, I mean, indications maybe there's not a huge amount of grip at the rear of the Audi when it's pushed to the extremes. And he's now wondering, how am I going to catch Bertolotti? And if I catch him, is there any way I'm going to find a way around him? But Bertolotti's lining up second place Govan in the Turkish entered Porsche. So that's going to be a little war going on with a 1.8 second advantage to Matt Campbell. As we've seen in other races, if you can get the lead, it makes your task so much easier. All you're going to do is focus upon yourself and not put any load or pressure into the car, into the tires, and therefore maybe hamper yourself come the later hours or later minutes of the race.
Of course, many of the teams will have been here for the Fanatec GT race as part of the Endurance Cup back in the late spring, but that's on a slightly different configuration of the circuit because they don't run the chicane on the Mistral straight as we are doing here. So again, that slight quirk from what the teams are used to. Come then here with Michael Benyaya out of senior. That is the Evan Chen Ferrari just up ahead, and so I'll tell you a lie, it's Marchi Lee in the Hong Kong China Honda that has gone through. So actually on this lap, the McLaren that you're riding with has fallen back in the traffic a little bit. Matt Campbell led at the end of lap 1 by 1.8 seconds. Mirko Bortolotti getting good in sectors, and a big effort being made here by the Moroccan.
It looks like he's made the pass, but it certainly was hard work. It was right on the bubble. You can see the hand movement of the steering wheel as we go back to this battle for the top 3. And directly behind Dries van Thor, there he goes, swings through the final turn. And again, Bortolotti remorseless in his pursuit of second place Turkey, and looked as if he was closing as they came into that final turn, but of course on the acceleration then up to start another lap, the second place Porsche opens that gap back up again. Bodywork on the track.
Yeah, indeed. Now Guven has managed to bring down the gap against the race leader. Anshin Guven was 0.7 of a second quicker. Now that he's got the tyres working, he's much quicker than Campbell. There's your leader, the Australian, but look at the gap. So the Porsches 1 and 2, the Earl Bamber Motorsport Run car ahead of the Talksport WRT car. That means it is Australia ahead of Turkey. Then the Grassa Racing Team Lamborghini for Italy, of Mirko Bortolotti in third place. This is another element of this, that the teams running the cars for nations are slightly different as well. Hence, you know, Van Thor with Santalok, for example. So there's a lot to factor in. It's not the usual format. It's different disciplines of the event, but it's different drivers in different cars for different teams. It's all fascinating.
So that gap, 1.8 seconds initially, now down to 1.1 seconds. And Ian Gavin has certainly got the pace from his Porsche. I mean, two identical cars, just different in the individual preferences and setup. So I wonder whether that 1.1 seconds is going to be less than a second when they come across start-finish line to complete lap 2, or lap 3 they're on now to complete. So we're settling down though. It's just that the initial frantic bit of action now is actually calmed down.
It has for the moment, that is for sure, but you've got the Porsches then still running 1 and 2, and as people start to settle down and start to adapt to their race pace and see what they can do around the traffic that's there. Look at the start of the race. Matt Campbell there making an absolute peach of a getaway, getting the drop as they ran down towards the first corner. So Van Thor went defensive from Stolz. Round the outside of Stolz went Guven. They rubbed, but Guven had all that clear space in front of him and went round the outside of Belgium as well.
Yeah, that was a fortuitous move by the Porsche to get around the Belgian. And that's where the snap oversteer came. So all of a sudden there was almost an accident in the middle of turn 2. So here's the view looking back from Tristan Vautier in the France, and there's the contact between Germany's Mercedes and Turkey's Porsche, but it was only very minor and allowed Guven to get in and swoop around the outside of Dries van Thor. Not a lot of racing drivers can say they swooped around the outside of Dries van Thor.
Absolutely right, but Guven did it, and Vautier running in 6th place. Now the lead gap is coming down again. It's down to 0.8 of a second. It's Porsche 1-2. It is Australia ahead of Turkey, and there in the Australia entry, Matt Campbell, but you can see that Guven using his Porsche knowledge to good effect as well. Is hunting him down.
Yeah, Belgium looks like they're beginning to make a move, albeit a few tenths of a second here and there, but on the Italy entry, and they're now beginning to drop Germany. Germany is no longer a part of this 4-car lead train. So looks like Lukas Stolz, whatever, maybe there was a little bit of damage in that initial rub going into turn 1, but he hasn't been able to maintain the pace, certainly of Dries van Thor, who is now going to be on the tail of the Lamborghini representing Italy.
Well, there is Italy, Mirko Bortolotti, and yes, Dries van Thor is starting to close because he did an absolute best, did Dries, within the first sector, the fastest lap of the race. Still that of Aintje Guven from last time through, but that gap for third is coming down, isn't it? Because now Belgium, which was 9/10 of a second behind Italy at the start of the lap, is looking closer. But if he gets onto the tail of Italy and gets stuck, that's going to allow Germany, Lukas Stolz, to close up.
Absolutely, same old story. How many times have we read that story? It's like, you know, the most almost consistent comment we make. You can catch, but can you overtake?
Well, this is Michael Ben-Yair's view, and he's still staring at the back of Evan Chen, but then he sees a gap and tries to go through, couldn't quite do it.
Now this time he wasn't anywhere near enough alongside the Ferrari to make that overtake. So driving in the sole McLaren here in this field and down into the penultimate turn 14. The Ferrari runs wide, and now that might be an opportunity for an undercut on the exit for the McLaren, but really didn't make the best of it. But certainly was quicker off the corner. Look how close it is to the tail of the Taipei Chinese Ferrari entry.
He's on the outside line, but he's got the run, and side by side, Chinese Taipei and Morocco, and Chinese Taipei through on the inside. The McLaren versus the Ferrari, similar shapes. Michael Ben-Yair right there behind Evan Chen, who's done a lot of miles around here this weekend. He's done all 3 of the GT Cup races, the 2 driver races, and now having to try and fend off the challenge of Michael Ben-Yair from Morocco. Out of the chicane. Absolutely tied together, these two. Little mistake there down in first gear from Morocco. Ben-Yair runs out wide.
Yeah, the back end stepped out, and maybe a sort of... The McLaren is maybe a little bit more of a difficult car to drive in the hands of an inexperienced driver. One of the issues that they have is just that transition with the Pirelli tyre. Doesn't seem to suit the McLaren maybe as well as some of the other brands. Nevertheless, you've got to deal with what you've got. And you can see the gap between the Ferrari and the McLaren has stretched as they come down into the chicane on the 5th lap of this race. 50 minutes remaining.
And up front, Australia 11/10 up on Turkey, but Italy to Belgium 6/10. So third place, I think he's getting to a position where it might well change shortly. And just to make the point again, this is effectively a 1-hour stint, a 1-hour sprint. There's no pit stop requirement, so you either look at this as a longer version of a GT Sprint Cup stint, or it is just one stint out of an endurance race. Either way, it's flat out from lights to flag.
And all the better for it. So the gap, second, third, fourth, pretty much equidistant. Dries van Thor looked like he might have dropped back fractionally there as our race leader. Matt Campbell for Australia was just over a second ahead of the second place Turkey entered Porsche. So it comes across the start finish line. Looks like it's stretched out to more than a second as they go on to, so where is that, 1.3. So Matt Campbell has eked out a further 0.2 of a second. And again, you wonder whether, you know, the Turkish Porsche has maybe pushed really hard in those opening lap. We saw that it did. Dries van Thor, there's the time against Mirko Bortolotti. Lap 3 picked up a quarter of a second, lap 4 a quarter of a second, neutralized more or less on lap 5 by Bortolotti.
Whatever you do to the setup of the car, of course, might be slightly different. Yes, they're Porsches 1 and 2, but 2 different teams. It might be that one team has got a car that works better at the start of the race, another that will work slightly better towards the end, and arguably that's when you do need it. But right now, Matt Campbell for Australia, starting, as you say, to stretch his legs. He's pulled out another 10th in the first sector, but the absolute best in sector 1, yet again, that man, the Belgian driver, Dries van Thor. So Belgium hunting down Italy, which in turn, I would say, is getting closer to Turkey as Australia pulls away.
Yeah, it'll always be a big frustration for the 4th place Belgian entry, Dries van Thor. He will be able to catch up, and he is catching up to the tail of Mirko Bortolotti in the Italy entry, but it's going to be a massive attack to try and find a way around it. Did I say massive attack?
You did.
A great Bristol band.
I was going to say other pop groups are available, yes.
They are indeed.
Second, third, fourth through senior. Yeah, you're right about Germany having dropped off the back. There is Lukas Stolz. But again, is that going to be a car that will look after its tyres and start to claw back time during the course of the hour?
I don't know if it was a conscious effort by Lukas Stolz or by Tristan Vautier to be in 5th and 6th positions. As you point out, they may well find that they're better placed in the second half of this 1 hour race to go on the hunt, to go on the attack. But I'd rather be in the front and have to defend than be behind trying to challenge.
Because you've got to catch as well as pass that way, haven't you? So, yeah, it might just be that they don't have the pace. I mean, the Mercedes not looking mighty at all right now, are they? Even though they were very, very strong in the GT Cup for the Pro-Ams.
We know how strong Mercedes has been. And in the 22 season, it's been one man has been the reason for that. And that man isn't here.
True, true, true. What about this battle? Chinese Taipei coming up towards the timing line, just fending off Morocco. Evan Chen ahead of Michael Benyai, who could barely be closer.
I mean, literally, they're almost nudging one another along. And will Morocco try to swing out one side or the other? He goes to look down the inside. There's not a lot of room, but I think he has just about made the room and has made a good, clean racing overtake. Good job, well driven.
Nicely done. So Michael Benyai goes through. That puts Morocco into 9th place. So the order is Australia, Turkey, Italy, Belgium, Germany, France, 7th Spain, 8th Switzerland, 9th now Morocco, 10th Chinese Taipei, but for how much longer? Because here 11th on his tail is Brazil, 12th is Hong Kong, China, and 13th is Latvia.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how Bruno Baptista is getting on in this sort of slightly more elevated company than that he was racing in. Look how close Bortolotti has found himself in the space of what, 2 or 3 laps, running down Gayan in the 2nd place Turkey entered Porsche. So maybe Bortolotti is finding a bit more pace at this phase of the race, and Dries van Thor looks a little bit further behind the Lamborghini than he was maybe a couple of laps before.
Yeah, right about Italy's Lamborghini working well. Mirko Bortolotti comes out of senior then right on the back of Ayhancan Guven's Porsche. You can see that he has been able to pull back a fraction of time on lap 5, another 10th last lap through. And maybe here, Dries van Thor has decided to drop back by a length or 2. Let Bortolotti get in the dirty air, work his tyres hard, get stuck, because it'll be easy for Van Thor to catch up again, he perhaps feels, if Bortolotti can't clear the Porsche of Turkey, of Ayhancan Guven, quickly. And he can't, he's stuck, he's been stuck for a few corners.
Looks like he's got more pace right now, but of course the pace is it's more about position. Van Thor, as these two cars get almost together, now Guven has seemingly, to me, has certainly lost overall lap pace in the last couple of laps, because that's what's brought Bortolotti up to the rear wing, and that's what's drawing Dries van Thor back again towards the rear of the Lamborghini. So now it's the Turkey Porsche, it's a bit of the cork in the bottle of these 3 cars.
Looking really good coming out of the turn 2 sequence is Italy, but look, Belgium right back with them. So as Italy has got stuck behind Turkey, Belgium has caught right back up. Italy to the outside line, can't do it there, coming down to the chicane. Turkey now, having fallen back from Australia, is under attack. Look at Belgium back at the races. Italy to the outside, and Italy tries to get the cut back on the inside. Bortolotti now commits to the inside, he's up the curb, and he's gone through. Good move, here comes Belgium as well.
Absolutely stunning drive by Bortolotti. That was a real opportunistic pass, didn't even think to point to, he just instinctively made that move and made that move work for him, taken 2nd place. In the meantime, what's happened is that the race leader, Matt Campbell, has pulled out almost a 3-second advantage because the pace of these 3 cars was being dictated by the Turkish Porsche, and that was slowing down 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and there's Matt Campbell way up the road.
But Guven is fighting back, or was at least coming into the chicane. Now, though, the Lamborghini of Italy of Mirko Bortolotti breaks away by another length. And watch Belgium. Dries van Thor almost hidden behind the Turkey Porsche. Looks for the inside line, coming up towards senior. No, not able to level. Guven all of a sudden looks like he's woken up because he's still trying to get back past Bortolotti.
It's a bit strange because certainly Bortolotti caught the Porsche very quickly. Now Guven's still maybe been woken up, maybe been stung, but he's got to be on his toes because Dries van Thor looks like he's got the marginally better car as they come up to turns 11 and 12, looking to find a way up the inside and almost a repeat, and the Porsche just isn't able to hold its ground. It just hasn't got the grip, but runs off track to come back on track to go side by side and regains marginally, but Dries van Thor, undercut coming, and it's going to be fun down into Village de La Pont.
Nicely done by Turkey. Good racecraft by Guven to go back ahead. He was all up the curb, but he's gone through, so moves himself clear ahead of Belgium. But look, Italy has checked out, so it is now Australia leading by 4.5 seconds, Italy second by 2 seconds, and then this Turkey versus Belgium battle with, look at Germany, back at the races 5th. Lukas Stolz closing up.
Yeah, it's a great battle between Turkey and Belgium, and clean racing right on the edge, but managed not to make contact. And in the space of 3 corners, they've gained, lost, and regained.
To the chicane they come. Up the curb is Guven. He's feeling the pressure, no doubt about it, but Dries Van Voor has not yet found a way past.
Seemingly, the first sector of the racetrack is where the Porsche is really losing out most. Dries Van Voor tried to repeat what we saw Mirko Bortolotti do just a lap ago, but wasn't in a position to take advantage. Once we get here into the second phase of the circuit, second sector, then Guven is able to consolidate and just about keep Dries Van Voor in the Belgian entered Audi behind him. And then the final sector is probably even Stevens, maybe fractionally more favourable to the Audi, but because of the nature of that part of the racetrack, not very many opportunities to make the pass stick.
Australia still looking commanding up front, even though Bortolotti is checked out from the third place duel. Italy not yet closing on Australia. 2 tenths lost again in the first sector of the lap. They're in the middle sector now, and another 10th lost by Italy against Australia. So even though Italy is in clear air, Australia still lapping quicker. Turkey hanging on a third, way wide. Belgium 4th, Germany 5th. Stolz hasn't actually stayed with him, has he? He's dropped back a bit.
And a little squirm, the Audi turning into Le Bousset. The back end snapped out, and Dries Van Voor had to get out of the throttle to correct that, but back on the throttle. Again, it's this first and third sector of where the Audi has seemingly gained or gains an advantage. The middle sectors where the Porsche is able to consolidate, where Guven can just about keep his second place in his own hands.
So Anton Guven, having dropped behind Van Voor, quickly got the place back again then. So Turkey leads Belgium. This is for third place, remember? And look at the clock, 41 minutes. That's what they have to the checkered flag. No pit stops, again, make the point in this race. Over the line they come. Chris Reinker of Audi Sport watching how Dries Van Voor is getting on. There's another Audi, of course, which is the Lithuanian entry. Julius Adamovicius further back, the car that was also used in GT Cup, but they're the Santalok run Audi hustling on, and Dries Van Voor, who knows these cars like the back of his hand, not yet able to make that move stick against Turkey. Ayhan Guven having to fend off the curb hopping Audi way up there on the curbing on the inside of the chicane was Van Voor for Belgium.
It's this part of the racetrack I think that Dries Van Voor is trying to focus on. If he can get alongside the Porsche coming into turn 6, then he hopes he might be able to swing through 7 and get ahead. But it's the middle sector, for me, that's the salvation for the Turkey-entered Porsche. It just about is able to keep the Audi behind, but Dries Van Voor is looking to make a move. He's going to go down the inside.
And Turkey must give back the position for Belgium. It's come up on the message line of the screen. So Ayhan Guven, by being off the road and gaining an advantage, has been told to give the place back. Well, there it is, it's done.
Yes, that was a couple of laps ago. That was coming into turn 14. He had 4 wheels off the racetrack, having had the Audi pass him, and that gave him a straighter line, more momentum, and got the position back. But now that's been redressed, so Dries Van Voor can look forward and once again run up to the tail, he hopes up to the tail of the Lamborghini Mirko Bortolotti running for Team Italy in second place. The gap right now between those second and third place cars, 2.1 seconds. That's when they came across the line as they went on to the start of this lap.
Race leaders then are on lap 10. There is the Chinese Taipei versus Brazil battle. It's 10th in the race. Evan Chen versus Bruno Baptista. Both of them have been really busy for their nations. Evan Chen for Chinese Taipei. There are lots of Chinese Taipei supporters on the balcony in front of us watching the Ferrari. Evan Chen hustling on. Lost a place early on to Michael Benyai, don't forget. Race leader, though, Australia, has now put 10 laps in the book, and we've done the first third of the race, effectively. 20 minutes now done, and Australia leading by 5.2 seconds and is still pulling away.
Yeah, that's, I would say, relatively comfortable, because for sure Bortolotti and Van Voor have had to work their cars more than those battling behind.
Have another look at this. This was Turkey being forced out wide. Ayhan Guven there flicked off the road because there wasn't room. But in doing that, got better speed, gained a place.
Yes, he basically straight-lined where Dries Van Voor was having to go around the curve. It gets up the inside, so he thinks he's got the job done. Then Dries Van Voor makes the undercut, tries to see if he can get the drive off the corner. And, I mean, it was a great battle. We enjoyed the battle. Not surprised to see that there's been a 5-second time penalty applied to Guven for that manoeuvre. I mean, he didn't have to do what he did, but he'd maybe give us an explanation when the race is finished.
So he's given the place back. That's the penalty done then. As you look at Germany, 5th, Lukas Stolz, coming then out of the chicane on the Mistral. So he gained when they were all squabbling. Interesting to see, isn't it, as well now, the way that Belgium, having finally cleared Turkey, is pulling away. And in fact, Van Thor has just done on this lap yet another absolute best in Sector 1.
And as a consequence of that 5-second penalty, it puts now actually Germany into 4th place according to timing and scoring as we're looking at it. And Goiven will be back in 5th place, but we're still looking at, as it is on the road, that penalty will be applied to the final timings when the cars and the race is finished.
So there is Belgium, Dries Van Thor in 3rd spot, but I reckon it's not going to be long now before he is able to get up with Italy, because he was 0.2 of a second quicker last time around.
Who did you think was going to win, David? You asked me, you didn't give an opinion.
I thought it was going to be Dries Van Thor, actually, but I'm having second thoughts about that, the way now that Campbell is going, but it's probably too late to change, isn't it? So over the line they come, but Matt Campbell driving really well up front, isn't he?
Yeah, he has gained the advantages. So much has been the case here over the weekend. The car that gets into turn 1 ahead of the field is able, Dries Van Thor, by the way, just setting the fastest lap, 2:02.532. That's a pretty impressive lap. That's not a million miles away from what would be a qualifying pace. But it has been, we've seen it in Formula 4, we've seen it in Tour, in TCR, we've seen it in endurance, GT endurance, and we're now seeing it in endurance. If you can get into turn 1 and clear the field, you're driving in your own space, in your own air, and you can drive your car as economically as you need to do to protect yourself, but primarily not to overload or overwork the tyre.
So we're working lap number 12 right now, and it is Australia ahead of Italy with Belgium 3rd. It's Turkey 4th, it is Germany 5th, it is France 6th, it is Spain 7th, Morocco 8th, Switzerland 9th, Chinese Taipei 10th, 11th Brazil, 12th Hong Kong, China, and then in 13th place Lithuania, as you look at Italy now coming out of the chicane. So Mirko Bortolotti in 2nd place. Last time another 2/10 lost to Matt Campbell. He's doing a stellar job in the Porsche.
Absolutely. Again, going in the clean air, just driving his own race. Just to clarify what I mentioned there, I said that the Goiven received a 5-second penalty. What it was only an instruction to allow Dries Van Thor to retake, so there was no time penalty. Just to clarify that, I was getting a bit ahead of myself, getting overexcited.
But yeah, the time penalties might come if they abuse track limits, but these are the pros, so one hopes they are not going to do so.
Well, when does that ever stop them abusing track limits?
This is a fair point. You heard before the race started, people like Dries Van Thor saying the Porsches will be quick at the start of the race. Well, we're 25 minutes in, and I say Matt Campbell's Porsche is still quick, but Van Thor has done the fastest lap of the race.
Yes, he has, but he's got to find a way around Bortolotti. And, I mean, the Porsche has been quick at the start of the race because that's the race leading car. It's got a 5.4-second advantage over second place Lamborghini. The task that Dries Van Thor's got to handle, he's got 35 minutes in which to do so, is find a way around Mirko Bortolotti. And I can assure you that is no easy task for anybody.
Absolutely. Good battle going on here. Look, you've got Switzerland, Chinese Taipei and Brazil all together. Yannick Mettler, Evan Chen, Bruno Baptista, the athletes as they come up towards the line. 35 minutes effectively still to go. This would be the opening of a pit window were it to be a double driver race, but they're going to have to carry on all the way to the end of the hour. And there, Yannick Mettler, he's also been, like Evan Chen and Bruno Baptista, busy all weekend, the Swiss driver, having done the 3 GT Cup races as well. That's a well-used SPS Automotive Performance Mercedes, and it's hanging on to 9th place right now.
Yeah, I think the Mercedes, just I was talking to one of your colleagues and after we had lunch the other day and talking about lifing of race cars, these race cars, I think a Mercedes, the motor is life for about 20,000 miles. I mean,
goes on and on.
I can't even believe a race engine would do that level of mileage. But these are GT3 cars. They're very understressed in terms of what their potential is. But that's an amazing statistic as we ride on board with Brazil running down the first part of the Mistral Straight and trying to get on terms with the Ferrari directly ahead, Chinese Taipei entering.
It's all getting quite crowded, isn't it, as Brazil tries to find a way past Chinese Taipei, which in turn is trying to both defend and also attack Switzerland.
Yeah, there we are. Mercedes, Ferrari's cutting back. We can't even see the cars going way over to the... And yes, what was going on there? It looked like Ferrari was one side of the track, now it's come back to the other. And Baptista sort of found himself in the middle of a trio where the Ferrari's the meat and the Mercedes sandwich.
So Chinese Taipei ahead of Brazil, all of that just enabling Switzerland to gap by a length or so as they come now up through Vendor, out wide goes Switzerland again. These corners, difficult to really get their ideal apex sometimes, and you see a difference of line there. Switzerland under attack from Chinese Taipei as we get towards the halfway mark, and now look, Switzerland, Yannick Mettler feeling the pressure.
Yeah, he's got the Ferrari all over the rear. Looks go down the inside. Is there going to be space given? They have given space, but that might work for Baptista because he had the better exit, and he might find himself in a stronger position than he anticipated coming into turn 15, but hasn't been able to capitalize on the straight line performance of the Ferrari, just enough to drag it away from the Brazil entrant Mercedes.
A big dive on the inside by Chinese Taipei, and he's gone through. And look at this for fourth place all of a sudden. Turkey under attack from Germany. Lukas Stolz all over the back of Ayetchen Guven. So Guven, who was closing on the race leader earlier on, has dropped. He's fourth, and it might be fifth imminently, because there, look, you can just about make out the Germany Mercedes. So close to the back of the Porsche was it when they came into view, virtually hidden by that massive rear wing on the back of the 911. Stolz for Germany goes for the inside line, but Guven knows what he's up to, and he knows exactly where to put that Top Sport WRT run car.
He has, but again, just watching the pace that Lukas Stolz has found, he suddenly found pace that wasn't there initially, or else the Porsche is the car that's really beginning to struggle. There you can see 0.4 of a second, lap 12, almost a second on lap 13. That's what's dragged the Team Germany Mercedes up to the rear of the Team Turkey Porsche. And Pergoven, I mean, he started off so strongly, and now he's finding himself having to be defensive all the way through the remaining half of this race.
And as, of course, he defends from Germany, so Belgium pulls away. Dries van Thor running in third place, but the two of them absolutely together. And as they come then now up through the sequence of corners towards the Virage de la Tour, together they run, fourth and fifth then, so it's Turkey just up the road ahead of Germany. Fourth and fifth they are. It's Australia leading the way, and this could be Stolz's moment.
Yes, he's kept the tight line into the final turn in the hope, again, of getting the undercut on the exit, but didn't succeed. But the thought was right and the intent was there, but Goiven had it pretty much covered. And again, the acceleration of that low-speed corner, the configuration of the Porsche should ultimately help it in that kind of place. Some of the other corners, maybe the Mercedes has got the overall better balance of the two cars.
So the Porsche and Mercedes accelerate through. And there you've got Turkey versus Germany. Matt Campbell's lead is 4.8 seconds. Last time, Bortolotti took half a second out of him. The Italian driver that little bit closer. So maybe now we're getting to that tipping point as Germany attacks Turkey once again, going up towards Saint-Baume, but couldn't find a way by. But it does look now potentially as though Italy is starting to become ever so slightly stronger in terms of the machinery than Australia.
Yeah, surprised. I didn't expect that gap. That's taken over half a second out of the advantage Matt Campbell was enjoying. So Bertolotti on a charge. He's still got Dries van Thor within a second, so maybe that hurry up from Mirko Bortolotti is more to do with the closeness, the proximity that Dries van Thor is, than actually trying to run down the race leader.
Back to the Mistral, the fight for fourth then. Turkey versus Germany, but you can see exactly how far they dropped back now from Belgium. Over 8 seconds now it is between Belgium and Turkey as the cars come up through the right-hander of Senior, swoop through that corner and now accelerate on towards the right of Le Beausset. So number 20 there, Lukas Stolz representing Germany in a car that won the 2 qualifying races for the GT Cup when it was Fabian Schiller and Valentin Pierburg driving it. They lost out in the main race for the GT Cup, did Germany, because of a safety car right at the very end. But right now, Stolz is grimly determined to take fourth place away from Turkey.
Yeah, and I mean, how close can he get without, you know, maybe putting more load onto those front tires on the Mercedes? But again, hoping to maybe make something work on the exit of turn 15. He uses that line, a different line, to go even in the Porsche, but it never seems to come off. Doesn't seem to have the drive at the point of the exit of the corner I would have hoped for, considering he's been working hard to put himself in a position. The Porsche has always got enough straight line performance to get off that corner and maintain the gap between himself and the Germany entry Mercedes.
We are into the second half of the race. The lead gap's down by another 1/10 of a second as you look at Turkey and Germany still squabbling over 4th and 5th places as they come now down towards the chicane. And does Turkey look slightly stronger this time? The gap is up maybe by length, but it ebbs and flows around the circuit, doesn't it? Down towards the Virage du Camp they come. Replay on board with Brazil. So this, remember, was 9th, 10th and 11th and Bruno Baptista for Brazil, chasing Evan Chen for Chinese Taipei, who made that dive on the inside and he got the job done against Switzerland. So Chinese Taipei ahead of the Swiss Mercedes, and Brazil looks for a way around the outside. So Bruno Baptista you're riding with, tries to get to the outside of Switzerland, comes into the right, into the left of the chicane, drops down to the Virage du Camp, and there's the gap on the inside line. Brazil takes it, goes up the curb, and goes through.
There's a big high-risk overtake, but both drivers managed it very well, and that was a gain in position. Switzerland down to 11th, Brazil up to 10th.
And now Germany set to make this move for 4th place. Stolz running out of time now because we are just over 27 minutes of the race to go. Oh, so nearly able to get up the inside, coming out of Le Beausset there, but he couldn't do it. Now towards Ben D'Or.
Main concern I have is when you get that close in Le Beausset, particularly, contact can be inevitable. Look how close he is now. This is the closest we've seen. Lucas Stolz to the rear of the Porsche, coming down to the conclusion of yet another lap. So down, and again, using that line, he's been working very hard all afternoon. It hasn't really worked for him because the Porsche, once it gets onto the straight, it seemingly can just open a sufficient amount of air between the two of them. Here's the battle that's going to take rage. It'll rage now all the way through to the end of the race. The gap to second to first place is 4.5 seconds, so that's been neutralized now by Matt Campbell. But this battle for second place is going to rage on all the way through till the checkered flag.
Now first to third, 5 seconds. There is third, Belgium, Dries Van Thor. Matt Campbell leading by 4.5 seconds for Australia, and last time around lost 2/10 again. So Bortolotti is going to have to get on with the programme because he knows that he has got that Audi catching up to him. These two have shared cars together in the past. They've raced against each other in the past, and they accelerate towards the chicane on lap 17 with just over 26 minutes of the race remaining.
Didn't see a huge amount of the Bortolotti Lamborghini in qualifying. We're seeing plenty of it here this afternoon in a strong second place, 25 minutes remaining. Dries Van Thor, this is the battle going down the field for 4th place. Lucas Stolz yet again looking as they come down to the chicane. Just hasn't got quite the pace in a straight line to put himself up alongside and take away the entry. Now, just going to move. Is he going to think about doing something up into scene? Well, he hasn't got the pace to do so. And again, the Porsche is able to consolidate its advantage. And Lucas Stolz is sitting there and wondering, well, I'm pushing the throttle full. I can't go any quicker.
Nose to tail they come. Turkey fending off Germany then. And these two lapping in the 2-minute 4s. As up the inside goes Germany, still can't quite do it. Those ahead are in the 2-minute 2s, 2-minute 3s, so they're squabbling, is delaying them. And now Stolz is getting frustrated. He's tried one side, he's tried the other. Everywhere he goes, the Turkish car is in the way. The Porsche of Turkey able to fend him off, but for how much longer?
Well, Govan is anticipating what Lucas Stolz is about to do. And there's always the temptation, oh, there's a little gap. Can I place my Mercedes in that little gap? But by the time that's gone through the process with Stolz, the Porsche's filled that gap and the opportunities are gone.
Into the final 25 minutes now. The lead gap is 4.4 seconds, as again last time around slightly quicker was Bortolotti for Italy. For Germany, Stolz lines up but then thinks better of attacking Turkey into turn 1. Ayhan Guven then in the Porsche fending off the Mercedes. And there you can see Lucas Stolz, who is a master of these cars, but he's met his match for the moment in Ayhan Guven. In fairness, it did take the likes of Van Thor and Bortolotti quite a long time to get through, taking Stolz even longer. Guven drives a wide car, but he does it completely fairly.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, maybe what's happened is the Porsche went into a couple or 3 laps when the performance dipped. Now, maybe the performance is coming back, and it really, that's again all down to how you're dealing with your Pirelli tyres. So, Lucas Stolz close to the rear of the Porsche, thinking about it, and he's thinking about it all the time, but an opportunity, will it arise coming down into the entry to the chicane? No. And Lucas Stolz is not the kind of driver who's going to throw it down the inside and try and sort it out, even if it involves a bit of contact.
Out of the chicane, uses a bit more curve there, so it's a tighter line through the second element. Good exit out of the chicane, but Guven knows what he's up to, so he positions the car so that Stolz's only opportunity is the outside line, and then Stolz tries to get across to the inside, but there's just no way through.
Porsche has got more straight line performance, and that's where it counts, coming onto the straight, both sides of the straight, and frustration. Lucas Stolz, he worked hard through the chicane, did all the right things, got the car in the right place, but when it came to straight line speed, couldn't match what Goiven has got.
And again, look, a good exit from Lebose, but where he needs to be, Turkey already takes the line. Here, a little bit wider goes Turkey, but there's no gap. So Germany, again, frustrated. Stolz absolutely on the tail of the Porsche. I mentioned Goiven hanging onto the place. And again, he's going to cover off that inside line. Is he into the last turn at the Virage du Pont? Because, yep, Stolz tries to get the undercut, gets a face full of 911 again.
I mean, watching what Goiven has been doing, he's racing really, really hard. He's defending cleanly. He knows he has got an advantage around certain parts of the racetrack, and those are the straight bits of the racetrack. There's other places under braking, under some of the slower sections, where Lucas Stolz is able to catch, but he hasn't got quite enough momentum when they get onto the following straight to make that overtake possible.
So again, on this section of the circuit, Porsche pulls away slightly. The lead gap's down by 0.4 of a second, incidentally, as Italy closes on Australia. But this is the best battle on track. We're going to stay with it because, again, it is Turkey versus Germany out of the Virage du Camp, now towards Saint-Vain. They turn through the right-hander, and now that Porsche looking a bit more ragged as the back tries to step out of line, and Stolz using a lot more curb because he's trying to create the gap, even if it isn't there.
But the same story. He's on the straight. Where's the performance, Luca? I haven't got any more. Can't go any quicker in a straight line. And that's the salvation that Turkey and Goiven have been able to fall back on. And Goiven has not made any errors in his driving. He's driven hard, he's driven clean, he's driven fair. Other than that one moment when he had to give the place back for running off track. I mean, Lucas Stolz was way quicker coming off the chicane, but it's just, when he gets out the nose into the clear air, it's just like putting a brick wall in front of it.
Absolutely. Right out of the senior right-hander they come, and again, Stolz thinks about the inside line. It was a sort of half commit to the inside, but again, Turkey in the way, and now going wide is Goiven, and finally, Germany goes through. Stolz has worked oh so hard for that, but Turkey comes straight back at him. I don't think Goiven's going to go around the outside. He can't, and finally, Germany has gained that place.
And that was simply because Goiven went into Le Bousset and the car ran way up the corner, and Lucas Stolz had more bite, more grip, could hold the lower line, and then took away track position from the Porsche. And once he had done that, that was game over. The position that Goiven had been defending for so many laps has now been relegated to 5th place, and Germany and Lucas Stolz are up into 4th place, but they've got a long way to go to think about trying to run down Dries van Thor with 20 minutes of this race remaining.
But the lead gap has come down markedly over the last 2 laps. We're down to 3. Yes, 3.6 seconds, having been over 4 seconds for the bulk of the race. Now, here is the fight for second, Italy and Belgium together. But because Italy has got Belgium right up behind the Lamborghini, so Mirko Bortolotti is doing his level best to get onto terms with Matt Campbell to catch up. He's being spurred on by charging Van Thor behind him.
So Van Thor is keeping Mirko Bortolotti on his toes. Again, all 3 drivers right on the limit of the performance, both in straight line, but more importantly, the grip in corners, the grip under braking, the grip under traction. And Matt Campbell, for maybe the first time in this race, realizes that is he on borrowed time. We've got just under 20 minutes remaining. The gap was 3.6 seconds when they came across the line at the end of the last lap. And it's certainly possibly doable. Wouldn't want to be more optimistic than that.
Well, we were hearing pre-race from Dries van Thor, expect the Porsche to be quick at the start of the race. Well, we've done 2/3 of it, and it's still leading, but the gap has come down markedly over those last couple of 3 laps, like I've been saying. Italy 2nd, 3rd, Belgium, but up front it's Australia. The other intrigue now is going to be Lucas Stolz, because on this lap he's done 2 personal best sectors. Now that he's in clear air, the German athlete is absolutely flying, so Lucas Stolz should be able to close on these, but he's so far back, I don't think he's going to make up all of the time. That's really out of the...
Well, it certainly would take over a second a lap for Lucas Stolz to get onto the tail of Dries van Thor, and that would be with 18.5 minutes of this race to go, and that would only be just catching, assuming that everybody is running at the pace they're running at right now.
Lead gap down again, 3.2 seconds, so another 4/10 pulled back by Italy against Australia. Is this on for Mirko Bortolotti? He's certainly closing, but has Matt Campbell got enough in hand to preserve to the end? Again, he doesn't have to win by much, just has to win by 1,000th of a second for Australia.
Now, I wonder whether Matt Campbell is realizing that he's running out of grip, or he's consolidating trying to control his pace just to ensure that he doesn't end up with a load of tyre degradation that would even see him being penalised further. So we don't know what's going on in the mind of any of these front three drivers, but certainly in Bortolotti's mind, he's trying to catch that Porsche. Dries van Thor's mind, he wants to get ahead of Bortolotti.
To the chicane they come. Chris Reinker of Audi Sport looking on. He's in the team Belgian pit box, the Santalot garage, where the team is operating that entry. Number 32, the Audi of Dries van Thor. In sector 1 this time, Porsche quicker than the opposition, and we've seen that over previous laps, but it's on the second and third sectors where Italy and Belgium start to catch Australia. There is the Porsche in the lead, Lamborghini second, Audi third, 3 different brands in the top 3.
You're hunting rather than being chased. I always liked the hunt.
Yeah.
The chase is a different dynamic. You start thinking, you start overthinking actually. So all Matt Campbell's got to do is keep his focus on what he's been doing and think forward, think positively, and not get too engrossed in the fact that he is being hunted down by Mirko Bortolotti and his sort of shotgun rider, Dries van Thor.
So in the middle sector, another 10th gain back by Italy. And Mirko Bortolotti comes down to the Virage du Pont now, still being hustled along by Dries van Thor. So the gap at the start of the lap was 3.2 seconds. Let's see what it is as they come now up towards the timing line. Through goes Australia, and the beam is broken with the gap at 3.258.
Stays much the same as it was the previous lap. So either Matt Campbell's responded, as last lap was a 2 minutes 3.1. The last lap for Mirko Bortolotti was a 2:30. So a 50th of a second difference between the lap times. So very difficult to notice it on the racetrack, but Dries van Thor certainly looks like he's framing up the Lamborghini now and wondering, can I start putting more pressure than I've been putting already onto the Italian Lamborghini? And if that is the case, then Bortolotti's focus is going to be stopping Dries van Thor from challenging me rather than me thinking I'm going to run down the lead Porsche.
And even if Van Thor could get past Italy, could he do anything about the leader? Goes for the inside line. So Dries van Thor for Belgium shows intent. Couldn't get through, but that was the first hint of a move.
And that's what makes me think that Bortolotti might now have a major think about what's behind, not think about what I might be able to achieve. 15 minutes on the clock. I've got a silver medal right now. I don't want to give that up. I don't want bronze. I would love a gold, but is it achievable? 3.2 seconds is the gap first to second, 15 minutes remaining. Well, one might say in an optimistic view, yes, it is achievable. Practically, Dries van Thor way wide coming into Le Bousset. He's done that a couple of times, and I don't know why he's doing it. Again, the back of the Audi just snaking under acceleration as they come up to turns 11 and 12.
I think you're right about Bortolotti for Italy, and another slide by Van Thor there. Certainly the sector times now suggesting Bortolotti is going defensive, not attacking, but all of a sudden Van Thor's car looking really scrappy.
Yeah, the back end of the car is getting loose, and now all of a sudden the proximity that Audi were to the back of the Lamborghini has stretched to probably double the length it was when they started this lap.
Yeah, they were half a second apart, and now as they come over the timing line to the eye, it has stretched. There goes Australia for the race lead. 14 minutes to go, 3 seconds is the gap. It has come down again, and 7/10 it is. It has gone up between Italy and Belgium, but now we need to keep an eye on Van Thor's car just to see whether that was a blip or whether there is now a balance issue as the tyres are perhaps going away, part of which might be because he's had to really work them hard. He's had a lot of battling to do in this race.
Yeah, I mean, he got mugged at the start, and he's had to fight his way all the way through.
How about this battle pack? Because Turkey has been caught now by France and Spain and Morocco. Tristan Vautier and Daniel Juncadella haven't really featured in this race, but they're in this battle, and that is Ayhan Şengüven. That's another car fading as the race goes on, isn't it?
It is. It's again, we don't know the reasons why, but one would assume it's all about how you've used your tyres and have you abused them, or is there another issue? We're not sure, a technical issue, but normally one would sort of first guess it by saying you maybe overused your tyres in the early phase of the race. I mean, Goiven was certainly a star in those opening laps.
He was, for sure. But here, he's in danger of falling back into 8th place by the end for Turkey, so that car certainly struggling a little bit. Now, the team manager of 44, Brazil, having to go to see the race director as you look at Spain keeping Morocco at bay. Onto the Mistral straight they come. We are on lap 23. Turkey hanging on then just to 5th place, but France, Spain, Morocco right there. Morocco's Michael Benyar having a good run, and here he is making a move against Fanatec GT Endurance Cup champion Dani Junqueira of Spain. He couldn't get past, but that was a good effort.
Yeah, he's been working hard, and the McLarens look good. So he's been sticking in with this group of 4 cars, and that was a move. Unfortunately, he chose the wrong side of the racetrack to make his overtaking. He needed to be well ahead of Junqueira to make that a feasible overtake. So up the hill into Scene, and again you can see the pace of the McLaren in a straight line. It's impressive. Junqueira runs wide coming off Scene, so watch what the Morocco entry, the McLaren 720S. Up the inside, France almost gets alongside Turkey. So Goivan is really losing ground and holding up these 4 cars, 3 cars that are following.
And proof of all of this is that he's already 10 seconds behind Lukas Stolz, who spent a lot of time getting past him. But Goivan doesn't have the quickest car anymore, but he's got a wide one, that's for certain, and he knows how to defend. So credit to him. He's doing his level best, even if he doesn't have the outright pace anymore. The leader has just gone by. So Matt Campbell is now only 2.5 seconds up the road from Mirko Bortolotti, who is 8/10 up on Belgium. So it's getting tasty for the race lead. Over the timing line, here comes Morocco. That's Spain just up the road ahead. The McLaren against the Mercedes. Junqueira ahead of Benyar, who goes one side, goes the other, and tries to swoop round the outside of Spain, but can't do it.
No, that's starting to experience. Junqueira very much experienced as a GT3 race driver. And again, he knew where to put his Mercedes, and again to force the McLaren to go the long way around to go into turn 1, and just didn't have the track position to make it stick. So Junqueira is driving again like most we've seen in this race. One eye looking ahead, one eye on his mirrors, looking back, because he knows the McLaren ultimately in lap time is quicker than the Mercedes he's driving.
Dani Junqueira, 5-second time penalty for track limit offences. So well, he's under attack, but he's also going to get a 5-second penalty at the end of the race. Now, lead gap, 2.5 seconds. So Bortolotti is pressing on. He pulled back another 2/10 in the middle sector, and there's confirmation of Spain's penalty.
Wonder who'll convey that message to Dani Junqueira. It wouldn't be a radio conversation I think we could probably transmit.
I think you're right. It's not been the fastest of the Mercedes, though, over the course of the weekend, has it, that car? But you've got to say the Mercedes as a brand in GT Sprint, largely disappointing, because the best is 4th, and Lukas Stolz hasn't really had the pace to do very much about those ahead of him. So the cars have been better in the GT Cup than the GT Sprint competitions this weekend. But for the race lead, with what have we got left? 10.5 minutes. Things are hotting up nicely. It's down to 2.3 seconds between Australia and Italy. Turkey, France, Spain together. Spain at the inside of France there. Look, Vautier under attack from Junqueira. And all of this is because the cork in the bottle is Turkey.
Yeah, Vautier really, again, being his pace dictated to by the Porsche directly ahead, and Junqueira is able to catch up. Likewise, the McLaren doing very much the same. So Junqueira blocking off any chance for the McLaren to swing down or swoop in up the inside. Here we go again. There's second place. And look, Dries van Thor is closing the gap. Last time across the line was just over half a second.
There's the leader, there's second, there's third. So that was 2.9 seconds covering the top 3 at the start of the lap. And this is Morocco on the tail of Spain. But of course, on corrected times, Morocco's ahead anyway. But Benyar needs to clear him on the road, because then he might be able to gain further ground before the end of the race. And he has a go on the outside line. Morocco to the outside into the chicane. Couldn't do it.
No, Junqueira just blocked off any chance of getting into the chicane. So again, that's the experience you get from having driven many, many miles behind the wheel of a GT3 race car, primarily a Mercedes. But a good drive from Morocco and the McLaren. Oh, oops, I've said that too soon. A bit of snap oversteer from the rear of the McLaren. But I'd love to see just if he could clear Dani Junqueira, whether he could make any further progress to run down Tristan Vautier.
Yeah, exactly. So this is Vautier's view. Now, he still hasn't cracked the Ayench-Guven problem. It took Stolz a long time to do it. And even though Vautier's been quicker lap after lap after lap, the gap isn't there. Out of the chicane comes the French athlete then, chasing Turkish driver Ayench-Guven. They're back onto the Mistral straight, 2.3 seconds the lead gap, and this was 3/10 at the start of this 25th lap of the race, with just under 9 minutes of the race to go. The sun's setting, another issue for the drivers as it hits their eyes, and Morocco ahead of Spain.
Yes, indeed. So they eventually, hard work, find a way around. So that will be a very satisfying overtake indeed, because they've been stuck there behind Dani Junqueira for many, many laps, and now make that overtake and focus on whether they can run down France. Just 8 minutes or so of the race remaining. This is on board with Tristan Vautier, who's going to have a mirror full of McLaren and not a sister Mercedes.
Absolutely so, and henceforth for 5th, 6th, 7th, 8th the order shuffles, and here they come now down towards the Virage du Pont, and down to first gear goes Morocco, then the McLaren and Michael Benyaya right up with Tristan Vautier already, so it shows the difference, doesn't it, of clear air or being stuck in traffic. There's the leader, and the gap has grown, incidentally, by 2/10 of the previous lap and a further 3 in the first sector of this. And again, it's partly Vanthor coming back at Bortolotti. So let's go back to the France and Morocco fight instead. And they come out of turn 2 now with just over 7.5 minutes to go.
So there is the battle for second place. Dries van Thor has got a new wind in his sails. He's close back up to the tail of the Lamborghini. Lamborghini now having to battle Audi, which had managed to draw away from. But this is the principal battle going on, a 4-way battle going on for 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th place. Danny Incodella, who's got that penalty, while he's running directly behind the McLaren, but is, well, probably might be able to maintain that position overall because he's got sufficient gap between himself and Bruno Baptista, who's 5.7 seconds behind on the road. So technically, we finished 7/10 of a second ahead of the Brazil entry should the checkered flag come out right now.
France dives to the inside of Turkey, oh so close, but that compromises Vautier. So now Morocco makes a bid, couldn't quite do it. Porsche, Mercedes, McLaren, Turkey, France, Morocco, absolutely as one, riding on board with Morocco. Here's the fight.
Oh, look, cars one side of the straight, cars other side of the straight, and I mean, by making that move, if it didn't come off, you were going to be compromised, going to be vulnerable. Well, Vautier just about managed to get it all back in control and on the charge. Once again, 6 minutes of this race to go. So in Le Bousset, you can see how close he is to the rear of that Turkish-entered Porsche. So the acceleration, the brief straight up into this never-ending long left-hand corner. Frustration. Normally it's called understeer city, that corner, but gets through it and maintains the 5th position. Vautier behind. And then Morocco and Spain filling up 7th and 8th positions.
And what about second on the road? Italy versus Belgium. They've dropped back now from Australia because they've picked up their squabble again. It's impeding their pace. So Matt Campbell, if you like, for Australia, being given his get-out-of-jail-free card. He's pulling away while these two are squabbling once more onto the Mistral Straight now. We've got just under 6 minutes to go, so we're going to be 3 more laps potentially as they head in towards the Mistral chicane. Flag goes out the first time the leader crosses the line at the end of the hour. There's no regulation lap tagged onto the end like we had for the touring cars, for example. So Bortolotti frustrated in a sense that he can't get rid of Vanthor. He might have the pace to go after the Porsche, but as long as he's got to defend from Belgium, he can't really do that.
Well, he gets this sort of seesaw effect, seemingly gains some advantage over the Belgian entered Audi, and then all of a sudden Dries van Thor gets a second wind and closes back up. And again, Bortolotti's got to consider, well, am I under attack? Is this attack going to be something that could take my second place away? Van Thor running really high going into Le Bousset, and I think that's more to do with the handling of the Audi. He's having to adapt his driving style to mitigate what might be a back end, a loss of grip at the rear of the Audi. There's Matt Campbell coming through, and comfortably, well, 2.8 seconds is ever comfortable, but in reality, the challenge that we thought might have come from Bortolotti in the end, Italian entry, to me, that's it. It's not much more that Bortolotti's got in the tank. Dries van Thor is the major challenge to Bortolotti, and it's still an opportunity for Belgium to take that second place away from Italy.
So as they go over the timing line, the lead gap is 2.8 seconds, and if Italy bags another silver medal here with some rough computations, that could give Italy the outright win in the medal table. Have I just seen a mistake from Belgium? Yes, Vanthor did bounce wide at turn 1, and he's junked about 3 lengths there.
Yes, but one little error can pay big prices. The gap's first to second place, still around that 2.8 second timing. There we go back again to this battle, 5th, 6th, 7th and 8th. On board with the McLaren, dives down the inside. Can he get past Vautier? He has done, but Vautier is going to come back. He's got the slightly better exit, so side by side, a long pitch straight and a brief bit of fresh air for the McLaren. But Vautier is going to be on the inside, coming down into turn 1. and it will be effectively his corner. But where's the McLaren? It drops back in behind the French engine Mercedes and has to do the same job all over again. An opportunity is going to arise going down the hill, of course, into the chicane. He's going to have to go very, very wide. Can he? He's going to do it. I think he's going to be alongside, and he will. Oh, where's Vautier going to be? Oh, there he is there. Was there contact or not? Wow. The way that Vautier swung across the front of the McLaren, there was no prisoners taken whatsoever with that move.
Now, Michael Benyaya is doing a very impressive job here. A bit of oversteer there, be correct, but he is the leading silver-graded driver. We talk about these races, these disciplines in terms of medals, gold, silver, bronze for the top three. This race will also, for the podium, have the winning silver-graded driver, and by my reckoning, that's going to be Moroccan Michael Benyaya. So he's in exalted company, isn't he, with golds and platinums around him, and he's doing a ripper job.
He's done an extremely good job, and I mean, he's raced very, very hard. This car has been sometimes a little bit of a handful, but he's managed it, and he's looked like he knows what it's all about. I wish you could see more of him in some of our events in the 23 season.
Yeah, we saw him in GT4, didn't we, a season or so ago, as you ride on board now with the Acurdis Mercedes of Bruno Baptista. He will gain that place against Danny Junqueira on corrected times because of Junqueira's 5-second time penalty. We have got 2 minutes of the race to go. And so race leader remains Matt Campbell for Australia, Brazil hunting down Spain, Turkey fending off France, fending off Morocco.
It's now a 5-way battle. It used to be a 4-way battle, but such is the pace of the Porsche, it's drawn Brazil into this 4-way, now 5-way battle. And who will be, well, who will come out of this in 4th place? Well, we'll find out in a minute and 50 seconds.
But Australia still leading the way as once more France lines up to have a go at Turkey, maybe on exit of the corner. Morocco having a go at France as well. Benyaya in the McLaren, stuck behind the Mercedes that is stuck behind the Porsche. Turkey hanging on to that 5th place. We've said it about other races this weekend. The entry may not have been massive, but it's really delivered the goods in terms of action. What a fight. 5 of them in a line down to turn 1.
Well, we've had great fights midfield. We've got a battle going on for the lead of this race. Matt Campbell 2.5 seconds ahead, but the 2nd place, the 3rd place, Dries van Voor's fallen away by 1.1 seconds from Bortolotti in the 2nd place, Team Italy Lamborghini. So that looks to me as if we've seen the best of the Audi for Belgium. And it's going to, contact, that was an unnecessary rear suspension, rear tyre on the McLaren has been cut down. That was a lunge, was never going to come off, and sadly, well, after a great drive, that's maybe a little bit of frustration creeping in. Frustration overcoming experience, I might say.
And that means that Michael Benyaya for Morocco is not going to be the winning silver-graded driver after all. That's now going to be Bruno Baptista, I would suggest, who has survived all of that and gains a place. So yes, frustration it was on the part of Michael Benyaya. He made that move, but it was a big, big whack. Tristan Vautier losing places as well, because not only did he drop behind briefly the McLaren, but also Baptista was able to get through as well, the Brazilian driver, and Spain has gone by also. And as the leaders go on to the last lap, it's 2 seconds between the top 2. Matt Campbell's got enough in hand, but onto the last lap, it's been a great drive by the Australian. Mirko Bortolotti fight for second, and Dries van Voor, having been roughed up at the start, has never really been able to recover.
No, and it was always going to be the case that if Dries van Voor didn't get lead going into turn 1 on the opening lap, he was going to have a battle, because all around him it's such a competitive field. You've got such outstanding drivers in these lead cars that it's just like a normal sprint race or an endurance race that we would be broadcasting on throughout the season. You just cannot afford one little error, such as the competition in the world of GT3 racing.
So Matt Campbell for Australia is going to give them a gold, but it looks as though for 2nd place in this race and another silver medal, Italy will be the winning nation in the FIA Motorsport Games. Nervous faces in the Team Australia pit box. The media team looking a bit worried about this, but with only half a lap to go, I think they're going to be okay for a win. Matt Campbell for the Alabama Motorsport team, for Stephen Grove's squad. There's the stricken Morocco McLaren. Real shame, that little mistake by Michael Benyaya, with serious consequences for him. Through senior for the last time, Bortolotti dropped to 10th in Sector 1. He's gained a 10th back in Sector 2. So Australia, Italy, Belgium. Brilliant race to end the weekend.
Yes, and seeing, I mean, some of our more familiar competitors going at it in a 1-hour sprint, no pit stops, lights go out, lights go out, checkered flag, and no pit stops. You've got to manage your tyres, and in differing conditions, the light beginning to fall down. Of course, the hour change in Europe means that we're now in effect racing what would have been 10 to 6. It's only 10 to 5 in the evening here. So coming to the end of a wonderful GT sprint race.
Australia will take the gold medal in the GT sprint. Matt Campbell, the driver, Porsche, the brand, and Australia, the winning nation. The gold medal to Australia in GT sprint. A great drive by Matt Campbell, delighting the Albamba Motorsport team pit. Italy second and provisionally winning the FIA Motorsport Games. And Dries van Thor third for Santalok. He takes bronze for Belgium. And look at this battle. This is for fifth. Turkey, Spain, Brazil, all together. And somehow Ayhancan Guven, in the world's widest Porsche, is keeping at bay the two Mercedes. Remember, Juncadella's got a time penalty anyway. Guven gets run out wide. Here comes Brazil up the inside. Almost level with Juncadella for Spain. That gives Turkey the chance to hang on to the position. The two Mercedes dead set level. Brazil goes through on the inside. Great move.
Absolutely well read, well driven by Brazil. Excellent performance, and Bruno Baptista will be delighted with that last-minute, last-lap opportunity to make one more position to finish in 6th place overall, and Juncadella will then drop back down into 7th.
Plus he's 5 seconds, so he's going to drop further than that. So Turkey 5th behind Germany, Brazil 6th. I'm going to offer you Chinese Taipei 7th, France 8th, and ultimately Spain 9th, with Switzerland in 10th yet to come across the line. Hong Kong, China 11th, and then Lithuania in 12th place. But Australia it is that takes the win. Stephen and Brenton Grove, the Grove Motorsports Brains Trust, very, very pleased with that result. Albamba, the Kiwi, it's his team that operates the car, and Matt Campbell, the driver.
I mean, it's great to see that car, which wasn't as competitive in the endurance events, but to see it being driven as it was by Matt Campbell to show the true pace that this Porsche GT3R has got. And a well-earned, deserved victory for Matt Campbell and for Australia. And they'll be celebrating all the way back down, whatever the state they're based in, they'll be delighted with this.
Well, he was a winner here last year in the 6 hours, part of the Bam Cam Jam team, Earl Bamba, Matt Campbell and Mathieu Jaminet. But now as a soloist, Matt Campbell wins a fascinating GT sprint race, similar in a concept in a way to what we used to have the FIA GT Cup at Macau, and hopefully can do again when travel allows. But let's look at the results of GT sprint. Australia wins gold, Italy silver and Belgium bronze. Matt Campbell triumphs over Mirko Bortolotti and Dries van Thor. Germany 4th ahead of Turkey and Brazil 6th. Chinese Taipei 7th ahead of France. Then Spain with Switzerland 10th, Hong Kong, China 11th and Lithuania in 12th. Lukas Stoltz then is 4th behind that top 3 of medal winners. Ayhancan Guven 5th from Bruno Baptista and Evan Chen. Then Tristan Vautier from Danny Juncadella, Yannick Mettler 10th from Marci Lee and Julius Adamovicius. Michael Benyard, the one that we lost from the race. Late race, of course, with that damage. So Matt Campbell takes the win, and one, of course, lights the flag, never headed, but that doesn't really tell the whole story of the race. It was a race that began with Dries van Thor on pole position and the Audi storming off the line, but not good enough because Matt Campbell made an absolute perler of a start and was able to get the drop on the opposition as they ran down towards turn 1. There was a bit of rubbing in the pack. Lukas Stoltz delayed, and one of the stars of the first couple of laps was Ayhancan Guven, who got himself into 2nd place and set off in pursuit of Campbell as Belgium. Dries van Thor was run out wide coming out of turn 2, and that enabled Italy to get past on the inside. So Porsche's ran 1 and 2, but eventually Guven started to be caught by Italy. Bortolotti taking Van Thor with him, and then that battle became ever more intense. One of the best moves of the race was that, a really incisive dive by Italy. Mirko Bortolotti through, and then Van Thor and Guven squabbled. Guven off the road and back on again. He came out just ahead, and in the end was told to give that place back, which he did. Through went Belgium, back up into 3rd spot. It also meant that Ayhancan Guven was then being chased by Germany as Brazil squabbled with Switzerland, moved through on the inside line, and the fight then took up attention lower down as we had the squabbles going on between the likes of Chinese Taipei, Morocco, France as well. Michael Benyard from Morocco doing a good job to level with France's Tristan Vautier as they came across the line and made that run down towards the first corner. But when the McLaren made a dive down into the Virage du Camp that didn't work, the damage was enough to put Morocco out of the race and also give the Silver Cup win to Baptista Brazil. Michael Benyard out of the race But the checkered flag, Australia prevail. The gold medal to Matt Campbell, to Porsche, to the Grove Motorsport team, to Earl Bounder's squad operating the car. Gold medal in GT Sprint to Matt Campbell for Australia. So what a weekend it has been. There have been more disciplined podiums going on while we've been watching the GT Sprint. The Grove family ready there to cheer home Matt Campbell and the Australian team. Very, very happy indeed, understandably so. An excellent drive by Matt Campbell, and the celebrations are about to begin as Matt Campbell arrives into the fan zone. Gold medal to Australia. The Porsche is there. What a drive by Matt Campbell.
How emotional for me.
You said Porsche was going to win.
Well, you know, it's because I'm a fan of the brand. I didn't know they were going to win, but Matt Campbell did the best job possible. He got the lead, and he was able to pull away, consolidated. The lead then started to disappear, but he was in such a strong overall position. And that was also a battle that maybe with Mirko Bortolotti being compromised with the battle going on with Dries van Thor. Might have been a different story, but there we are. There is our race winner about to be interviewed.
Well, it's been a massive project by Stephen Grove to get the Australian team over here for GT racing. Well done to Australia, to Matt Campbell. He's with Gemma Scott.
Matt, congratulations. What an amazing atmosphere already to celebrate that. A gold medal for Australia.
Yeah, obviously very, very cool. First one for the weekend, and what a way to finish. I mean, it was pretty tense there. The car was dying at the end, had a few problems, but yeah, we made it, and yeah, pressure was definitely coming. So glad I made no mistakes and brought it home.
What was wrong with the car at the end?
Had slow upshifts, so just trying to manage that, trying to avoid some bumps. And also I think just some vibration starting as well from tyres. So we made it in the end, cars in one piece, and yeah, we got the gold medal.
I think that gap you pulled out right at the beginning really made a difference.
Yeah, so important. I mean, the car was fantastic on the couple of out laps there, and was managed to pull a gap and just try and maintain. But yeah, it definitely wasn't easy towards middle and end.
Congratulations, well done.
Thank you so much, cheers.
Brilliant job by Matt Campbell. Well done to Matt, to Australia, and another Paul Ricard win for the Australian driver.
Yeah, interesting. Matt Campbell tells he was having not just to drive the race, but manage the car. So doing two different things at the same time, and knowing that he was being run down gradually, but always had sufficient in the tank to consolidate that lead and take a great victory for Australia.
So Australia, Italy, Belgium, the top three, and Stephen and Brenton Grove celebrating with Matt Campbell. Fantastic effort that by the team, and Matt explaining about the little dramas he was having with the vibration late in the race, but he can smile about it now.
Yes, he can relax about it. He'll enjoy celebrations after this very important victory indeed for Australia.
Now, what's that done to our medals table then? Matt Campbell goes back for more photographs, but at the end of the track activity, Italy takes 4 medals, but 3 golds and a silver, gives it the nod over France with only 3 golds. Belgium got 2 golds, a silver and 2 bronzes, but it's the number of golds that determines the victorious nation. So Italy it is that wins with a silver over and above France with only the 3 golds. Excellent stuff. Belgium's 2 golds, a silver and 2 bronzes put it third from the Netherlands, Germany, and then United Kingdom ahead of Peru. So well done to Italy. It was winning gold medals last night in the rally competition. It took 2 golds last night, so 2 in rallying and 1 in GT Sprint, plus a silver. It does illustrate, doesn't it, the spread of medals. Look, 4 silvers, 4 bronzes for Spain, but not a single gold. You've got to feel sorry for Spain for that, given that that's the only nation with a representative in every discipline.
Yes, indeed, but they did very well. Outside of the gold, they got 4 silver, 4 bronze. So they've come away with the biggest haul of medals of any nation, but of course that coveted gold medal, which they would have loved, even just one of them, they didn't quite achieve.
Kuwait getting a silver, Sri Lanka on the medals table, so too Slovakia, Poland, Israel, Estonia, Ireland, Denmark and Georgia. So Italy is the winning nation. They will be the closing ceremony to come at the end of the evening. The podium is being made ready. The drivers are being found. We know where the Australian representative is, but we need the others now for the podium to get underway. And Matt Campbell is all smiles now, smiles of delight and relief after getting the Porsche to the end of the GT Sprint as the gold medalist. Dries van Thor third, Mirko Bortolotti second. Matt Campbell wins for Australia. He takes gold. And the CAMS team, the Motorsport Australia squad, delighted with that result. The GT Sprint new for 2022 at the FIA Motorsport Games, delivering great action and a gold medal for Australia. So drivers then will be brought to the podium shortly, ready for those medals to be presented. And Bruno Baptista, 6th overall, I think we're decided is the winning silver graded driver, not silver medal, but the driver grading is platinum, gold, silver and bronze, of course, across the GT and sports car categories. It's amazing how busy that fan zone becomes as soon as you bring a race car in, and it's a really, really cool touch, isn't it, that everybody can get so close to a car straight after the race. Normally they have to go to a scrutineering bay and be weighed and almost hidden away. The mechanics are there to make sure that nothing untoward happens to the car, but everybody being understandably respectful of the winning Porsche.
Yes, I mean, it is great to see fans getting so close to a car immediately following its success, its victory. And that fan zone has been busy all day. I mean, I've been down there a number of times, and there are people that you go back every 3 or 4 hours. The same fans are still sitting there in their deck chairs. I mean, watching a big screen, watching the presentations, watching Louise and Darren in the studio area. In fact, one member of the public came up and said, "Well, can you turn up what you're saying? We want to hear what you were saying," because that wasn't going out as a broadcast.
And if you look to the bottom left, you'll see the kart track, and John has been on that as well, around the orange inflatable circuit. He's got that line through the first corner down to a T, I promise you.
Every line is perfect.
As it has been for the last 3 days of broadcast, I'm sure.
It's been a lifetime, hasn't it?
So the fans are ready. The podium is being made ready. We're just rounding up the last drivers. And the FIA team are there. The SRO officials will make sure that everybody's in the right place. So the Porsche comes out on top. And Stephen and Brenton Grove shared the car in GT Cup, give it over to Matt Campbell for GT Sprint, and he brings it home as a victor. There is Bruno Baptista as the winning silver graded driver. He's had a really busy weekend, and Felipe Massa, the FIA drivers representative, signing autographs, and I suspect we're going to have him on the podium as the FIA dignitary to present medals as well. Very proud Australian team, and understandably so. Excellent job done. Massive supporters of the event have been the Grove family. And Stephen, who's an inveterate Porsche enthusiast himself, racing in Australian GT, in Intercontinental GT Challenge. The fans find themselves on the big screen and respond in time-honoured fashion.
Absolutely, so they should. They've been great. The support they've given this event over the last 4 days has been, I think, really, really outstanding. And that's what I want to see. Youngsters, children, 7, 8, 9, whatever years of age. Yeah, exactly. We've got you, mate. We know who you are. Take that beard off. Take those glasses off. We know you.
But fantastic then. Everybody finding themselves on the screen. Big cheers all round. And this is taking motorsport to the people, as it should.
Yes, and I think that's been the great success of this weekend. It's brought people who probably were never motorsport fans per se, but because it was perceived to be something different in the way that it was representing your nation, and the pride, particularly here in France, are such a proud nation in every sport that they play. Football, rugby, luckily they don't play cricket very often. And they've got a great legacy in motorsport as well.
But there aren't many events, there aren't many sports where you can stand shoulder to shoulder with the winner fresh out of his tournament before he goes to the podium, get an autograph. You know, he's not hidden. You can't do that at the World Cup final. You can't do that at the end of something in the Olympics. But at the FIA Motorsport Games, you can stand with the winner as he's waiting to go to the podium.
The first thing is you've got to get the people in. You've got to get the fans in. If you're not bringing the fans in, then there's no point. But we've got loads of fans that have been here all through, say, 4 days. And again, that for me, that image of seeing children looking up, maybe some of them will be inspired.
Yeah, hopefully so. You're right. And with so many different disciplines of motorsport here, it doesn't have to be GT racing, it doesn't have to be single-seaters. It could be auto slalom, it could be karting, it could be drifting. What's the phrase? Whatever floats your boat. Right, more fans have found themselves on the screen. Some happier to see themselves than others. And all of this, of course, is as we await the arrival of the drivers.
There's the bloke looking, there's the beard, there's the glasses. We knew you were here. We've got your number.
So from Vallelunga, where we ended in the rain back in 2019, 2 years off, of course, because of the pandemic, but what a weekend it has been, not only in terms of the racing, but in terms of the atmosphere in the paddock and the way that the event has grown now with the number of extra disciplines brought in.
Yes, I think it's the growth is and a very big part, an important part of the success of this weekend. Paul Ricard has delivered as well. I think the circuit has done a magnificent job. There's so much space around the circuit for all these additional activities to be permitted to take place. And I mean, look, this place is called Le Plan du Castellet. It is the plain on top of that. We're sort of 400 or 500 meters above sea level here, and it continues the hills or mountains directly behind. So it's a very rugged part of the sort of the southern part of France. You might call it loosely the Côte d'Azur. Look at those kids. What a great time they're having.
It's great to see, isn't it? And it's also good that people have stayed right to the end of the day to join in the podium. It's not been a case of watch the checkered flag fall and dash to the car.
Again, maybe because they're not necessarily motorsport fans. They're here for a day out, and this has been a part of their day out. And they'll go home and tell, the kids will be telling their grandma and grandpa, I was on TV, exactly. Did you see me?
And other people discovering just what a race-winning GT car is like, how big it is, and what it's like inside, because, of course, again, for many of them, they won't really appreciate what's inside the car in terms of the safety element, in terms of all of the switches and the dials that a driver has to be au fait with.
Yeah, I mean, just some of them putting their hands over the vents over the front wheel, because the front brakes and these things are massive front brakes, and there will be a load of heat still filtering out as the car sits statically. When you've driven a hard race and you bring a race car to an abrupt halt, you get a huge amount of heat soak, especially from brakes. And really what you do in a slowing down lap is slow down to get a lot of cooling into the brakes as much as you possibly can before you bring it to a standstill.
In the end, the winning gap was only 1.6 seconds, as you've been hearing from Matt Campbell. There was a reason for that, partly with the upshift problem and partly with a vibration that he had as well. But brought the car to the end with that gold medal going Australia's way. Excellent job done by one of the top Porsche GT racers, no question.
Well, he's a factory driver, drives wherever Porsche send him to, and he certainly has upheld the Porsche family honours as much as he's upheld the honours of his nation. And for the Grove family as well, it's a success that they didn't get in the Endurance Cup. They had issues in the first of those races, but the car has come home victorious here this evening. And I wonder what will happen to that car now. Will it be remain in the family's ownership, or will they look forward to getting their latest version, the 992 Carrera RS GT3R, I beg your pardon, which is a real mean machine. Going to take that level of performance from the car we've just seen winning today to another level, and the little I'm beginning to understand about it, I gather that's going to be a really special race car.
Well, the car now being returned to the team. You've seen the mechanics whisk it away. The drivers ready for the podium, and so now I think we are just about ready. So yes, the medals are being brought forward, and we are ready to receive the winning drivers then at the end of the GT Sprint, that final discipline of the weekend. And so Porsche wins from Audi in third, Lamborghini between them, and that means that it is Belgium third, Italy second, and Australia taking home the gold medal. And more photographs taken from on high on the podium, as then the drivers are about to be called forward. Up, first of all, steps the bronze medalist for Belgium, Dries van Thor, the Audi driver, and if that's the last time we see him in an Audi R8, and it potentially is, then it's not been a bad effort, has it, to take pole position and third. It might be that he finds a slot in an IGTC race in December. We'll wait and see. For the silver medal for Italy, Mirko Bortolotti steps forward. But then, for the top step of the podium, for the gold medal for Australia, it is Matt Campbell. Matt Campbell, winner here in Fanatec GT in the 6R race last year. He is victorious in the FIA Motorsport Games, and so now the medals presented. The bronze medal goes to Dries van Thor from Lutzlief Linden, the FIA GT Commission President. There is the silver medal to be presented to the Italian, to Mirko Bortolotti, the Lamborghini driver. Complimenti Mirko Bortolotti for second place. And then the gold medal to Australia, to Matt Campbell. The Australian driver, Matt Campbell, wins. Silver for Italy for Mirko Bortolotti. Bronze for Belgium for Dries van Thor. And now they will be, of course, the winning silver driver, Bruno Baptista, to join them on the podium. And he gets the silver cup from Felipe Massa, Brazilian driver, Brazilian driver. Well done to Bruno Baptista. Felipe Massa, the president of the FIA Drivers Commission, congratulates the top three drivers outright, the medalists, makes his way from the podium, and then we await the national anthem of Australia as the winning nation. An emotional Matt Campbell after a tough race, but he prevails and a great effort by the Australian.
I mean, a real emotion on Matt Campbell's face there. I mean, I was just worried that maybe the emotion was overwhelming him. I think it may have done.
It's now when he has time to stand there and sort of relive what he's just gone through to win that 1 hour flat-out blast and the drain it's had on him mentally, but it all starts to really hit home. But there, the celebrations are underway, and congratulations to Matt Campbell and congratulations to Mirko Bortolotti, because that silver medal has helped Italy become the outright winning nation here this year in the FIA Motorsport Games.
And even better that kids have been showered in champagne, so another tale to tell the grandparents.
The drivers make their way from the podium. Mirko Bortolotti will head in under a week's time to Portimao, where he's got Lamborghini factory duties at the Lamborghini World Finals. But what a fantastic weekend it has been here, and the drivers then complete the GT sprint. So congratulations to Italy as the winning nation, and what a weekend of action it has been. We look forward to more of the same next year. From John Watson and David Addison, thanks for your company. It's goodbye from us, and we'll go to the studio for more reaction.
Our final race of the 2022 FIA Motorsport Games has taken place, and Stefan Rattel, you've joined us in the studio. It ended on a new discipline, GT Sprint, and that was a good one to end on.
That was very good to have top professional drivers with really some of the best from Paul, from Audi, from Mercedes, from Lamborghini, and it was very exciting because of this race depended the final result of the FIA Motorsport Game between Belgium, France and Italy, and that made it very exciting for everybody.
It was a super way to finish the whole event, to finish on a race of such quality between the nations, from the best of the best in GT3 racing. It was a wonderful way to finish these games.
How have you felt this Games has gone? I mean, we know it's been fantastic. It really has. The whole team have put in so much effort to get it to this stage, but you must be pleased.
It's simply a dream come true. You know, it's been decades of dreaming about it, and years to make it a reality, with everyone from the FIA, and it's really an event that would not exist without the FIA, because only the FIA has access to 140 ASN around the world, and it's really the effort of the ASN to bring their team together that has made this fantastic event possible, and also my very dear SRO team that has worked for now 3 years, because you know we suffered 2 postponements with the COVID pandemic, and finally to do it where we had planned to do it. It's a huge satisfaction, and we were blessed with the weather, I have to say, and the pub, everything worked, you know.
And so obviously this year, 72 ASN's nations turn up for this event. Is the dream to have all 140 here for the Motorsport Games?
That would really be a dream, but the objective is really to reach 100. I hope one day we'll get there. I'm sure one day we'll get there. Let's say that the objective for the next one will be 90. Yeah. That would be nice if we can get to 90. But there is no doubt that this event will grow and become very important in the global motorsport calendar.
I think so. For me, when I arrived here on Friday and I walked through the paddock for the first time, it's just a magical festival of motorsport. And I think the fact that there's a type of level of racing that anyone can enter with the esports and the karting slalom, it just gives so many opportunities for lots of nations that don't have motorsport as a starting point.
And also the fans, because we've had such great fans here of all ages, families coming, and that shows what you're offering.
Yeah, it's a combination. What we want to do is a combination of some top motorsport. I think the last race we've seen tonight is top motorsport today, and grassroots. And I think the combination of both embraces motorsport as a whole, and that's really what we want to offer.
I mean, that's the beauty, isn't it, of this event, having the grassroots entry level to motorsport, like we say, the esports and the karting. And for us to watch the karting and the lower formulas with the F4 today was really great to see the youngsters coming through. And you can see the inspiration with the youngsters in the crowd. You know, they can see themselves doing this in maybe 5 to 10 years' time. And
yesterday morning I drove to Gap, which is not near, but it was beautiful. It's in the lower Alps, beautiful setting, to see a cross car. And I have to confess, I had never seen a cross car race, and it was just spectacular. And with the flag of the cars, you know, the top of the car is really the flag, and you could really follow the nation. And even if you don't know anything about that particular form of racing, you get excited because, and that's the whole idea of the motorsport game. You follow the flags, you know, and that makes for everyone, even if you don't know the category, that makes it exciting.
Yeah, it's been super exciting following all the nations and particularly the medals table.
Stefan Rettel, thank you very much and well done. Thank you for your conversation.
Thanks to you, because you have held this studio for a number of days now, and you've made it very interesting for everybody. So thank you very much.
Thank you. Darren, Stefan really just summarised it right there, didn't he? Of course.
It's been so amazing. These days have just been absolutely amazing. And I think Stefan really did capture exactly what this motorsport.
Do you know what I did want to ask him though? Where's the next one?
Yeah, I mean, they couldn't have had better weather here in Paul Ricard for the last 3 days, and you know, wherever it's going next needs to be able to put on such a show as they have here in France.
Right, there's one last thing that we haven't seen, and Ben's back with us, and that is the auto slalom final. We did see some of it earlier. Ben, you went down there to watch it, so can you tell us, we're going to see some pictures of the last run. what happened. Who won?
Yeah, absolutely. So we saw Slovakia beat Croatia, and we saw Germany beat Georgia in the semi-finals. So Georgia and Croatia went head-to-head for the small final, and it was Georgia who took the bronze medal. And this is the last two races between Slovakia and Germany for those medal wins.
So this is the last run that they're on.
It's the very final race then. So already with a large advantage, Germany up to nearly 15 seconds of an advantage. There was a cone touch from Germany in this last race, but ultimately the penalty was so small that Slovakia weren't able to overhaul. They had about 4 or 5 cone touches in this final section of 8 races. I love this format. Germany taking the victory ahead of Slovakia, who have got a big presence in esports, but not massive in the rest of the world of motorsport. And then Georgia picking up the bronze medal, another nation that only have just built their first racetrack a few years ago.
Oh, that's lovely to see. And that's our final medal then. We've finally seen our final run from the Games. Final thoughts from over the last few days, because you've been out and about all over the place.
I love the opportunities I've had. I am, of course, a circuit racer at heart, and I love being at a racetrack and seeing the likes of the GT and touring cars and single-seaters. But then going out into the mountains, seeing rallying, seeing the cross car. We've obviously got a new fan in Stefan Rattel, which is good news. and the grassroots stuff like auto slalom, seeing the massive support, the countries that you wouldn't usually expect to see at a racetrack, and an amazing atmosphere in those smaller events that haven't been on the racetrack, but still have great support from the ASNs and the countries. And we have to say, karting and esports as well. The entry list takes up 2 pages. Amazing stuff.
And Darren, for you, I don't need to ask. I know you've enjoyed it. I know you love the format.
I've enjoyed every moment of this weekend, and the highlight for me was probably the drifting, because it was so new, something different for me. Really enjoyed it, and understanding the rules and regulations, so that was really good. But just seeing the youngsters racing in all the different categories that they were allowed to race in, it's just nice to see the next generation coming through and them representing their countries. What a way to go racing.
Thanks, guys. Well, we've seen some new disciplines. We've met some new future names in motorsport. And for me, seeing the spirit amongst the competitors and the nations really was something. It was like everybody, it was clear they all felt like they were part of something special. They were all part of it. So now, it's goodbye from us, and we're going to leave you with the highlights from the final day of the 2022 FIA Motorsport Games.